What is up, everybody? Back with another top 10 here today. And with this one, I'm going to be giving you all my 10 favorite Swedish black metal bands. Amazing country for black metal and really just for metal in general. So many great bands from there. But my 10 favorite black metal bands, pretty tough to narrow this one down because there's a bunch of them. Bathory, of course, one of the first black metal bands of all time, and like the first big one from Sweden. Their debut came out in '84, and then into the 90s, there was a ton of different black metal bands that were coming out of Sweden, specifically, melodic black metal, which is something I'm really into. So pretty tough, again, to narrow this down, and these are just my favorites, and I will give some honorable mentions at the end as usual. Here we go. Starting off the list at number 10 is Dissection. Really great band, and for a lot of people that might be higher. Just for me, the fact that they've only got two really good albums that I enjoy holds them back a little bit, but those are two pretty legendary albums. The Somberland, their debut from 1993, and Storm of the Lightsbane from 1995. Then, of course, John Notvedt, the front guy, leader of the band, who I think his voice is really cool. He's a great guitar player, great songwriter. He had some legal trouble, was in jail for a while, and then he came out of jail. They put out another album called Rhine Chaos in 2006. He, killed himself a couple of months after that came out, but that album's not that great. So just those first two albums, I really, really love. Great classic melodic black metal. There is some tints of melodic death metal in there as well, but some favorite songs, the title track from the Somberland is one of my favorites by them. In the Cold Winds of Nowhere, Unhallowed, Land Forlorn. There's a lot of great songs between those two albums, so good enough to get the band on the list for me. Great stuff. Dissection, number 10. Next up at number 9, I'm going to go with Mort Grinding, another really cool band. These guys formed back in 1993, were together until 2005 originally, broke up for a while, and have been together again since 2016. And I did actually just see them. They just finished their first ever U.S. tour, which is really cool, and I'm super happy to have seen them. Great show. The whole band was on fire, and I picked up some of their merch. Got Mouse from Chaos, their 2001 album, which is my favorite by them. Just the melodies on here are so mesmerizing and amazing. The guitar is fantastic. Love the tone. The vocals are super cool. Everything about this album is fantastic. Pretty evil sounding as well, of course. But the lineup on here, which all these guys are still in the band, I believe. Goth Gorgon, who I met this guy. His real name is Jonas. Really cool. He plays bass with them live, but on the recording, we got guitars, bass, keys, and he did lead vocals on a couple of tracks. So great musician. And he, as an original member of the band, he was on their debut when he was 15 or 16 years old, which is insane. That came out in 1995. Fantastic album. It's in Swedish. It's like Tusen har got. Probably butchered the pronunciation, but it's a great classic album. Their second one, Return Fire, is awesome. And this one, as I said, is my favorite. And Drak Kamara, another guy that played on this. He did guitar, keyboards, lead and backing vocals, and Avatar, who also did guitar and keyboards. But fantastic band. Their most recent album is fantastic as well. Check out all their stuff. Super underrated. Great stuff. Mort Grinding, which means actually Dark Dawn in Swedish. Awesome stuff. Number 9. Coming in at number 8 is Watan, a great band. They formed back in 1998, have 7 albums total. Their most recent just came out a couple of weeks ago, The Agony and Ecstasy of Watan. Cool album, but I do actually really love the first 3 the best. Got Rabid Death's Curse on vinyl. Great stuff. Got a cool gatefold opening here. Cassis Luciferi, their second album. Another really cool opening here. Looking at this, Devil's Blood, open this up, is freaking insane. One of my favorite songs by them. And my favorite album by them, Sworn to the Dark. Amazing stuff. Legions of the Black Light, gotta say that is definitely my favorite song. When that kicks in, it's just so amazing. Love the vocals from Eric Danielson. The guitar is fantastic. And fun fact about Eric Danielson, he does bass and vocals for Watan. He actually did the drums on the album Only True Believers by Armageddon, which is another great Swedish black metal band, and that album is one of the best black metal albums of all time. So he's a great musician. Watan, just fantastic band. Love most of their stuff. So they're here at number 8 for me. Next up at number 7 is Bathory, another fantastic band, and they are definitely the most influential band on this list, I will say, just for my personal taste. Got them here at number 7. I don't have any physical copies of their albums, but I do have the super cool patch. Love the goat there, super cool font on their logo. But great band, of course, Watan, one of the most influential people in black metal of all time. You know, Bathory, just one of the most influential bands in general. Those first 4 albums are legendary. The self-titled, which is my favorite. Just love the rawness, the aggressiveness, Hades, The Reaper, Sacrifice, all amazing songs. The Return is great as well. Under the Sign of the Black Market and Bloodfire Death, which Bloodfire Death, you could start to hear tints of like Viking metal creeping in, specifically like, you know, A Fine Day to Die. The beginning, it's got that acoustic part. You just got that Viking feel, which went more and more into Hammerheart and those other albums. But Watan, you know, pretty much you could say he helped invent two genres, Viking metal and black metal. But Bloodfire Death still does have just some scorching, shredding, like aggressive stuff like DSRA, which is one of my favorite songs by them of all time. But Bathory, fantastic band. I can't imagine someone having a top 10 black metal bands from Sweden list without them on it. So they're here at number 7 for me. Next up at number 6 is Dark Funeral, another great band. They formed back in 1993. They have 7 albums, and their most recent did just come out a couple of months ago. We Are the Apocalypse. Really good stuff. Some of their earlier material is my favorite, though. Probably this album here, Secrets of the Black Arts. Would maybe go with this one as my favorite. It's pretty tough, but got the guys there on the back. Lord Ackerman is the only guy still in the band that's original. He's on guitar, great guitarist. Love his riffs. His tone is amazing. Just that tremolo, like picking he has is so evil sounding. But from that first album, the title track, My Dark Desires, which is maybe my favorite song of theirs of all time. Love the opening with the scream and just that amazing melody. But also have, let's see, Vobscum Satanis here from 1998. Another great album. And Angelus Exuro Pro Eternus from 2009 is just freaking insane. The drummer they had at the time went by the name Dominator. It's some of the most mind-blowing drumming you'll ever hear. Just super fast, aggressive, brutal stuff. And most of their material is great. So they're here at number 6 for me, Dark Funeral. Next up at number 5 is Nagelfar. Now, these guys are criminally underrated, an absolutely amazing band. Formed back in 1992. They've got 7 albums as well. The most recent came out in 2020 called Cerecloth, which is a really good album. But some of their early stuff, I'd say, is some of the best black metal ever, at least some of my favorite. Got Diabolical from 1998, which I've ranked in my top 15 black metal albums of all time in the past. Just amazing stuff, very melodic, but super aggressive and heavy at the same time. The opening song, Horn Crown Majesty, one of the best black metal songs ever, I'll say it. But Vitra is amazing as well, and Slave the Astral Fortress from that album is amazing. Got one of the most majestic and just badass guitar solos of all time, so check that out if you don't know it. And probably Pariah, those are my top 3 albums by them, but all this stuff, really good, super underrated band. Nagelfar, number 5. Next up at number 4 is Graffittner, another super underrated band. These guys should be a lot more well-known than they are. They formed in 2007, and their debut came out in 2012, so pretty modern. And even though their debut didn't come out till 2012, they have 8 full-length studio albums since then, so a pretty big discography already. All these albums are freaking awesome as well, and they actually did just release another album a couple of weeks ago, Tunes of Citra Hara, and it is fantastic. A lot of killer stuff on there. Their 2020 album, Death Swings Widespread, was my number 1 black metal album of the year in 2020, and it was in my top 10 overall. So a lot of great stuff from these guys. The vocals are freaking insane. Some of the most evil, sinister sounding stuff you'll ever hear. The guy sounds like a freaking demon or something. But the 2 guys in the band, from what I can tell, are 9TL and Modrius. It's kind of confusing on some of it because some of the albums are just listed as like the band members. It says none, and some of them it's got those two guys, but it says unknown for instruments. So not sure who's playing what, but I don't care. Freaking amazing stuff. Highly recommend to check them out. Graffittner, number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Necrophobic. Great band, and I actually did just have them on my top 10 death metal bands list as well. Very tough band to categorize as one or the other. They blend death and black metal so well, and I was talking to one of my friends, like, would you put these guys on the black metal list or the death metal list? And he said they can be both, so I said, screw it. They're going on both lists here. Got a great discography, 9 albums. They formed back in 1989, so classic band. The Nocturnal Silence, Dark Side are both fantastic. Their 2 most recent, Dawn of the Damned and Mark of the Necrogram, are great. Death to All from 2009 might be my favorite album by them. I find myself going to that one like probably the most, or the 2006 album as well, which I'll probably butcher the pronunciation. Hrimthursum or whatever, however you pronounce it, but Blinded by Light and Lightened by Darkness, the song from that album is freaking amazing. Got a really cool music video as well, which I was just showing to one of my buddies at work. I live in Georgia, kind of like a country area, and he's like, what in the world is this? Got the guy crawling around like a possessed like demon there at the beginning, which is kind of cool. But yeah, amazing stuff. Great band. Necrophobic, my number 3. Next up at number 2 is Svartzen, a band that I freaking love. I've talked about these guys a lot on the channel. They formed in 1991. The main guy of the band leader, goes by the name Orneus. He has amazing guitar tone. He writes all the lyrics. He does the vocals. He has a really evil, sinister sounding voice as well. Kind of similar to the dude from Graffittner. Same style voice, but I've got one of their patches for the album Black Testament, which is my favorite album by them. Super thrashy, super aggressive black metal, just amazing stuff. Love the guitar tone, as I said. Looking at some of these other albums, The True Legend from 98 is their debut, great as well. They got 10 albums, so pretty big body of work. In Death is great from 2017. Requiem from 2020 was my number 2 black metal album of the year. His Majesty is a classic from 2000 that by a lot of people is kind of considered the best album, but Black Testament, as I said, is my favorite. And they actually did have a guy named Dragon doing the drums from 96 to 2010. Some of y'all might recognize that name from being the drummer on the first Dark Funeral EP. So kind of well-known guy there. And then since then, he's had a session guy on a couple of the other albums. But Orneus, main guy of the band. Svartzen, amazing, underrated stuff. My number 2. And taking the number 1 spot is Lord Belial. Freaking love these guys. All their stuff is killer. They formed in 1992. The debut came out in 95, Kiss the Goat, which is great. But then they stepped it up to one of the best black metal albums of all time, Enter the Moonlight Gate in 97. Just some of the most evil, darkest atmosphere you'll ever hear. Very melodic and amazing. I got Unholy Crusade from 99, another one of their best albums. The title track on here is just so awesome. Angel Grinder from 2002, another great album. Nocturnal Beast from 2005 was, I think, my number 1 album of that year. Just amazing stuff. They have a brand new album coming out in a couple of weeks now at the end of May, which I am extremely excited for. All the singles that have come out have been great. It's going to be their first in about 14 years, so pretty big gap here between their albums. They were broken up for a little bit. The band originally was 3 Backlund brothers, which is really cool to have 3 brothers in the band together, and a dude named Nicholas Green as well doing guitar. One of the brothers no longer in the band, but still the 2 brothers and Nicholas are in the band right now. So great stuff. All their albums are awesome. They're my number 1, and I forgot to go through the honorable mentions a second ago, so let's do that real quick. Just some of the bands that are like really close for me to making it. We got Armageddon, which I mentioned before. Eric Danielson did drums on Only True Believers from 2003, the front guy for Watan, but that album is freaking amazing. Marduk, Niflheim, and Sacramentum were some of the really close ones. There are a lot more, of course. So, as usual, I'd like to know what you guys thought. Give me your 10 favorite Swedish black metal bands in the comments. And until next time, thank you for watching.